I'm Dominic Waddles.
And I'm Mark Rosenblatt.
And this is the MDetroit podcast. Here at MDetroit, we interview the artists of Detroit by discussing their lives, their art, and many other topics. In doing this, we hope to create a platform for artists to share their work.
Our first guest for Season 3 of MDetroit is none other than the great saxophonist and woodwind player, Mr. Wendell Harrison. We had the great fortune of talking to Wendell about his new album that he recently released, studying and working with the greats like Barry Harris, Eddie Harris, and Grant Green. And we also talked about the legacy of the legendary Detroit collective Tribe and an educational program that Wendell was a huge contributor to called Rebirth, and much more.
So get up, utilize your talent, make a plan, take a stand, wake up.
Now say that again.
All right.
Go ahead.
All right. Welcome to the MDetroit podcast. My name is, of course, you already know, Dominic Waddles, and here with
Dominic Waddles.
my host, my co-host, Mark Rosenblatt.
Mark
In today's podcast, we have
Rosenblatt.
Yeah, Rosenblatt.
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 Rosenblatt, yeah.
Rosenblatt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Great.
And
Nice to meet you guys.
Yeah.
nice to meet you.
and on this podcast today, we have the great Detroit's own Wendell Harrison.
Thanks for being on the show.
Glad to be here.
Thank you a great deal for
thank
being
you.
on the show.
You know, yeah. Glad to be here in these troubled times, you know.
Oh,
Lucky to have a studio to so I can communicate with the world, you know. I've been doing a lot of broadcasts with Zoom and other technology, whatnot. But this is the first time we using what's this, Discord?
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so it sounds look like it's gonna work. You
Yep.
know?
And if it doesn't,
So
we'll keep
anyway,
Right.
yeah, right. So my latest venture is this album called "Get Up Off Your Knees." you
Yep.
know? And I just put that out.
We're gonna get there.
Actually, it's released this week.
Woo.
You know. So what did you want to talk about first?
So the way that we actually structure this interview, we want to do it a little bit differently than other interviews. And what we do is we read you your bio, your biography about you.
Okay. All right. All right.
And then we have some questions about it. How's that sound?
Okay.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Good.
Okay, good.
All right, so here we go. Wendell Harrison. Jazz saxophonist and clarinetist Wendell Harrison has long been known for taking his music into his own hands. Born on October 1st, 1942 in Detroit and attended Northwestern High School, his classmates included trumpeter Lonnie Hyler, saxophonist Charles McPherson, and percussionist Roy Brooks, all of whom sparked his interest in jazz music. Like his classmates, Harrison began formal jazz studies with pianist Barry Harris. He also attended the Detroit Conservatory of Music, which is now known as the College of Creative Studies. While in Detroit, he performed with Motown stars Marvin Gaye, Aretha Franklin, and legendary Sammy Ward. Shortly after, in 1960, young Harrison headed for New York. He began performing for some of the world's premier jazz artists, guitarist Grant Green, vocalist Eddie Harris, and the great Sun Ra. He teamed up with trumpet player Marcus Belgrave, Johnny Owen, and baritone tuba euphonium player Howard Johnson to perform and tour with saxophonist Hank Crawford. Wendell can be heard on Hank's earlier recordings, Double Cross, Dig These Blues, Mr. Blues, on Atlantic Records. Wendell learned how to compose, write, and arrange for multi-ensemble during this time in his life. And you have a wonderful, if you want to know a little bit more, we will definitely have his bio in our description, because he has so many more accolades that you would love to hear. So how would you change anything about that bio, even though it was just, half of your bio?
Oh, I think you misread. Eddie Harris is the saxophonist.
Oh.
And the vocalist. You said just vocal. I performed with Eddie. I did a tour in the 80s with Eddie Harris.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together for about off and on for about 10 years, and he was instrumental in getting me a record deal with my clarinet ensemble, as well as release a live recording that we did on a festival, MDetroit Festival. These are on the MDetroit labels.
Mm-hmm.
MDetroit label in Munich, Germany. That was his contact, Matthias Winkelmann, and we worked like in '85 through Rebirth. We got a grant from the National Endowment and Michigan Council for the Arts, and we did a lot of college tours in Michigan, and then we also toured Ohio, Kentucky, Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and Eddie was like a great instrumentalist, saxophonist, as well as vocalist
Mm-hmm.
and inventor and comedian.
Yeah.
You can hear it in his music.
We went to Buffalo, New York to perform. It was like the Battle of the Tenors. It was Eddie Harris from Chicago, Johnny Griffin from Chicago, and myself. And Eddie went crazy. He said he wasn't going to play. All he was going to do is tell jokes, I said, well, Eddie, people want to hear the saxophone. He said, the hell with him, So he stood up there and told jokes for a whole hour and played a little bit of saxophone. And the audience just loved it, just loved it. And Johnny Griffin was mad. He said, man, he does that all the time. What are we going to do now with this guy? But he left that, it was at the Transflamador in Buffalo. And right after that, he went straight to Europe doing jazz studies and doing workshops in Europe for about 6 weeks. Todd Barkham had booked him in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's like a little thing that everything in my bio has some kind of anecdotal history to it, that keeps me alive today. Just memories keep me alive, thinking all the things that was done.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't never do anything else, I'm just happy to have these memories.
Yeah.
Memories.
Memories.
So Eddie always emphasized recording and actually playing jazz and entertaining. When you play this music, you have to really present it in such a way where the people will be like entertained, so it won't be, and then have some kind of historical significance to your presentation. So you're always projecting your soul, but you're also referencing jazz icons that played this music before you. You know, keeps the legacy happening. That kind of thing. So, what do you think, Waddles?
I think it's just amazing that we get
because
to spend.
Your father.
You said what?
Your father is amazing. A projector of history, you know, in a comical way. He kind of reminds me of Eddie Harris, you know, because your father's presentation is very comical. The way he talks about Fats Waller, you know,
right,
and Louis Armstrong, and he kind of mimics those different styles and whatnot, but in his own way,
right,
you know, and. He's amazing entertainer, and he has his presentation has historical significance, you know, which is he's educating people at the same time. We call that edutainment.
Edutainment.
You know, yeah, edutainment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know you're releasing, or you just released your new album. Can you talk a little bit about it? Tell the audience, some things about it.
Well, the main thing about this piece here, I wrote this in 1968 as a play. You know, Get Up Off Your Knees, and most of the record companies, a lot of the record companies that I've been working with, has been releasing a lot of the music that I have written at that particular period of time, you know, like the Tribe stuff, you know, like Farewell to the Welfare, Where Am I, all those tunes that was written, pretty prolific, you know. So Get Up Off Your Knees is a tune talking about prayer's good, but you got to do something to help. You got to hustle to meet your needs. You know, because the Creator puts a lot of stuff out here for us to take advantage of. You know, there's a lot of opportunities out here, you know, but we have to be aware of them, you know, and sometimes when we're aware, we don't, a lot of us oftentimes don't really take advantage of the opportunities. You know, we just lay back and wait for somebody to just spoon feed us.
Right.
You know, but the thing is, you got to get up and especially when you're young, because the doors is open when you guys is age, you know, but the doors are not gonna stay open. You know, when you between 15 and 25, seem like you can't do any wrong. Everything is happening because you're young. People like to see you. You're not hard to look at. You know what I mean? and so as you grow older, the door is shut. You know, they're shutting now. You know, so you have to, because you can't do the things that the opportunity is not available when you're 50, 60 years old. You know. Like they are when you're in your 20s, the teenager, between the 15 and 25. You know, oftentimes people get to 40, 50, 60 years old, they talk about, I should have did this, I could have did this, you know, I wish I had did this, such and such, you know.
Right.
So this particular tune is called Get Up Off Your Knees. I agree that prayer is good, but you got to hustle some to meet your needs. If you're in good health, you'll help yourself while you can. It's been proven true. You can do it too. Wake up. It's not in vain. If your future isn't bright, you only have yourself to blame. So it's opportunities now. That's the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a rapper, but that's the lyrics of the song, and it's featured Mickey Braden. She's a vocalist and actress. She's from Detroit, but she's residing in New Jersey, St. Clair, New Jersey, and she's singing that particular tune, and also she's on 2 other LPs I did in the 80s called Dreams of the Love Supreme and Organic Dreams, which was put out in Europe and Japan through the P-Vine record label, as well as the Tribe Win-High record label.
Mm-hmm.
And also using some young people from Detroit. I'm using Jacob Schwartz on the guitar, Louis Jones on drums. He's goes to Wayne State. Actually, Jacob went to Wayne State as well.
Mm-hmm.
He's also on some of the tracks I'm using Trinino Low playing trumpet, and I have another interesting young man. He's from Senegal, Africa. He's born in Guinea-Bissau, but he moved to Senegal, and he's a bass player. He's interested in bebop jazz, but he plays pop music from West Africa, and he tours all over the world. And now he stays in Detroit. He moved to Detroit. We have a heck of a community in Detroit. We have a lot of people from West Africa here, Senegal, Mali, and Ghana. And they're interested in jazz too. I'm interested in that music from that particular area of Africa,
Right?
The Ivory Coast and that Atlantic Coast.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on the particular album as well, and I recorded 2 of his compositions, and he's doing some chanting in Portuguese. Creole Portuguese, because Guinea-Bissau, that's their language in West Africa, and then he also recorded 2 other tunes with some his lyrics is in Portuguese and Wolof, which is a language of Senegal. Wolof is a language. So I have 2 other compositions, Sammy Lynn and another piece. Also, I did a big ensemble featuring a brass, trumpet, flugelhorn, French horn, 2 trombones, oboe, and bassoon, and flute.
Ooh.
This is Wandering Thoughts.
Wow.
You know what I mean? 3 of, let's see, Wandering Thoughts, another tune called First Love, another tune, I think it was a Saga of the Carrot. Saga of the Carrot. And these tunes have the horns that I just described, but they have percussion, bass, drums, and guitar. So that gives you all these different. I have different ensembles on this release. I have big band, big sound with these 16 pieces. that also have sextet and quartet stuff. So we got a lot of different colors.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different. Then I have another young man. It's called his name is Mbayo Chui. He's a cardinal for the Shrine of the Black Madonna, and he's reciting poetry, which he talks about education on one, and the other tune he talks about revolution, which is really comical because he talks about Trump with a bluegle, and he's very. You have to listen to it. It's very comical the way he talks about the culture nowadays, American culture nowadays. So I think the release is pretty interesting. I'm playing a lot of bass clarinet on it as well as saxophone, clarinet, and whatnot.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was listening to. I was listening to the track. Yeah. Excuse me.
You was listening to the track.
Get up off your knees, and I was like, man, I got to play to this. So I just put it on my room. I was just like, it's just grooving to it because it just grooves, and you can tell just.
That's in 5/4. I wrote it in 3/4 back in 1968. Right a year after riots, but I was in California, and when I looked at it again, I said, well, let me update it a little bit, and I added a chanting part with Pate. He's chanting in Portuguese, and I rearranged it in 5/4, which gives you more of an African type vibe to it, and. Little different. It's really a little different. Everything is in bio stuff. I did a 6/8 thing with a Middle Eastern percussion sound. And did you listen to that as well? The education.
I only listened to about 2 tracks because it was on Facebook, so I just clicked on the thing to listen to it.
Facebook. Oh yeah, Facebook. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Facebook is good, It's on, by the way, the album is on Bandcamp.com. You can purchase the tracks.
We'll definitely make sure to link all of that
Bandcamp
stuff to the to the video on Facebook. Make sure everybody's familiar. Yeah, everybody's
That's
hip.
great.
Because they need the video.
That'll save my life. That'll save my life.
Oh yeah.
So studying with Barry Harris, we're really interested in knowing about that journey in your life.
That's my formidable years of bebop. I met these guys, like I was saying in my bio, the trumpeter Lonnie Hilliard and Charles McPherson, and James Jameson. Those were the students that I was introduced to in high school. And later on, they went to New York and started working with Charlie Mingus and whatnot. James Jameson became the giant bass player of Motown music. On all those records, you hear him playing the electric bass. But he started out playing upright bass like Ray Brown and Oscar Pettiford. He sounded like that. Case in point, it's kind of like Ralph Armstrong,
Yep.
the bassist.
Yep.
He was kind of like Ralph, played upright bass as well as electric bass, But anyway, I grew up with those musicians, and Lonnie Hilliard started me out playing different phrases and exercises, and he showed me a lot of different bebop tunes, and he told me if well, if you get these ideas and get these tunes together, I introduce you to my teacher. So I did, and one day he came into the classroom. He said, "Well, I want you to after school. I want you to go to Barry Harris, go to my teacher, which would be Barry Harris, and he wants to talk to you."
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Barry. He said, "Wow, man, I've been hearing about you. You got a big head too." I said, he's a jokester, you know what I mean? He's a jokester, you know. He's always giving you some kind of sarcasm, you know. So I started with him, and he gave me a lot of foundation and jazz language in the Bud Powell, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, and that set me up to go to New York to perform with a lot of different musicians. If it wasn't for Barry showing me those and giving me that foundation, I wouldn't have made it. You know, he made it possible for me to really launch some kind of career in music. You know, because when I went to New York, I could improvise, I could read, and now Hank Crawford on the other side showed me a lot about writing and arranging. Before I left to New York, I went to the conservatory and I learned how to write classical, music. I was playing classical clarinet, and as well as saxophone. And I wanted to learn how to write like a Duke Ellington or Basie or something like that. Some of those, I had those kind of ideas. And they said, well, you can't learn that here. It's only classical. You learn about Mozart and Beethoven and Stravinsky and folks. I said, well, that's interesting. So I went. I said, well, I did two semesters there, and I went to New York, and started trying to write and whatnot, and eventually met Hank Crawford after working for a while, about a couple of years, working for a while, and that's where I met the great Marcus Belgrave and the Howard Johnson and Jimmy Owens and a lot of musicians that was playing bebop, but playing blues and pop music, but like out of the Ray Charles style,
Mm-hmm.
and they were writing too. All these guys, all the horn players in that particular band were writing charts and writing arrangements and whatnot, and that's how I learned how to voice and for different instruments and ironically, see, if you could play solo and write, you would have an edge in terms of there's all these disciplines supported your career. See, if I wasn't working, I could write a chart for a singer or something, for a record session, or I might not want to play with a band, but I can do some charts for a band,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I started teaching too. Barry Harris showed me the methodology, that he had, and I was able to teach it to other folks. In fact, I authored a book called the Bebopper's Method Book.
Mm-hmm.
That was based on some of my lessons that I had as a youngster. Of course, I added more to it. I had my own approach to playing these ideas and playing the style, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So You know, every moment of your life is a story. You know, every moment. It's interesting. All you have to do is keep breathing.
That is true.
Man. Couldn't have said it better, man.
All you gotta do is keep breathing in and out.
Yeah, right. So yeah, because something's going to happen. You know, you keep breathing, something's going to happen. You know, if you take advantage of different opportunities and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know, in fact, I got a call. I got to call a guy in Austria now. This is Doug Hammond. All these guys that's on the Tribe label, I talk to them every once in a while because we perform periodically somewhere every year. Like last year, I performed in California with Phil Ranlin. Performed with the Arc Orchestra, Horst Tapscott's ensemble, which consists of a rhythm section and a harp and a tuba and trumpet, guitar, and 2 saxophones and trombone. And they orchestrated, scored my music, some of the original music that I had. Then also did a tour. We did a tour in Lansing with the same music with Phil Ranlin and the Michigan State Jazz Ensemble.
Nice.
Which was great. The kids over there up in Lansing, they sound like old men. Rodney Whitaker got them sound like old men. You know, it sound like they know what they're doing. You know? Yeah. So we did five cities around the city of Lansing. And before that, I was in Atlanta. Did something with the clarinet ensemble. I have a clarinet. Wrote some music for 5 clarinets in rhythm section. It's called Mama's Liquor Stick, which is put together during the time I was doing tours with Eddie Harris. It's on the Injure record label, some of the music. But anyway, I went to Georgia, Atlanta, and presented some music down there of the clarinet, and used the clarinets from Atlantic, Georgia, like the contrabass clarinet, bass clarinet, alto clarinet, and 2 B-flat clarinets with bass drums and piano. And, so this year, I don't know what's going to happen, you know, with the virus going on. I'm blessed to be talking.
Yes.
I'm still here.
We all are.
Yeah. October, I'll be 79.
Wow. Woo!
You know, I'm crawling up on 80. You know what I mean?
Doesn't look like
Won't
it.
be long.
You look like you're 21. You look like you're 21.
Look at this.
That sounds good.
The audience doesn't.
That sounds good, baby.
The audience doesn't know, but Wendell is wearing like the most hip attire right now. Like he's got this amazing button-up shirt. We don't see the whole thing because he's got a really dope jacket on top of it. But
Came in swagged out with the suede jacket.
Wow, look, it's like a wow.
I love colors, man. I got my bebop hat on, you know, the monk hat, the African monk hat, you know. So it's all, you know, a lot of music. You know, a stylist is really great. You know, like James Carter, he's like a stylist, man. You know, he's always got some kind of suit on, some kind of suit. You know, this when you look at him, it's amazing. He's entertaining just to look at. You know.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a world-class saxophonist. He's world-class. You know, no one sounds like and has the energy that he has. You know, dealing with the saxophone. I haven't heard. I've been all over the world. And I've been all over the world, and I never heard nobody sound like James Carter. He's amazing, you know, with the energy, especially the energy he can put out. To the horn. In other words, his volume is. He's one of those. He's got one of those mouthpieces like a cannon, real open mouthpiece. I don't know.
Yeah, he's pretty much brought up all the Lawtons in the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You know, so he's got a style like Roland Kurt. You know?
Yeah.
But he can play all kinds of ways. The reason I'm talking about, because I had him playing in my clarinet ensemble. I featured him in my clarinet ensemble, and he was playing contrabass. And it was really made the band really sound really interesting, you know, because he's playing that bass, but he wasn't. He was improvising that bass line. He could be improvising the bass line, but because he knew the language, so he didn't really have to read. He used the paper as a reference, you know, and so he really interjected his soul and his personality, which really did a lot for the feeling of the ensemble. It didn't sound like a bunch of guys just reading some music. You know, we stuck on the page, you know, it sounded like live, everything was live. He had a good rhythm section too. He had a guy about, like Marion Hayden played that on that record with us too. Bless her heart. Just not reminiscing. She played bass on that with my wife. She was playing piano, and Alex Brooks. And then we had Jerry Gonzalez on percussion.
Well,
very interesting release. And another album that I produced was the Battle of the Tenors with Eddie Harris and myself. And Eddie was playing all this intricate stuff, you know, and telling jokes. You know what I mean? It's called The Battle of the Tenors, and it came out in we recorded it in 95, but it came out in 98, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that was something else, you know. So anyway.
So we were gonna actually ask you a couple of questions about like Tribe, if you can talk a little bit about that, because we actually just spoke with R.J. Spangler and John T-Bone Paxton, and we talked a little bit about Tribe, and we were super curious because Tribe's like a very like Detroit heavy thing. You know, there was the Detroit Experiment, which was a thing.
But, with Carl Craig. Yeah,
I believe so.
Well, anyway, Tribe. Started. Tribe is like the first art of governance. In terms of governing groups. Like the historical thing on Tribe is like we had all kinds of tribes, not only in Africa but all over the world. People would gather together to survive, to like propagate as well as to garner some food, for survival and whatnot. And Tribe worked good. They worked. It's very successful in growing, sustaining communities, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Ireland, whether you're in the UK or what, So, it's in terms of musicians, we came together in the 60s to actually produce our music and to get our music recorded and distributed. Because a lot of us had been working with major artists, and we've been a part of hit records and stuff like that. And these record companies had been promising to record our music, but for some reason they never could get around to it, you know. And some of us recorded stuff, but they wouldn't release it. Like I recorded some stuff for Atlantic, but it never was released, you know. And same with Marcus and Harold McKinney, Marcus Belgrave, Harold McKinney, and Doug Hammond, a lot of artists recorded, and we were struggling back in the '60s to get our music heard. So we came together and said we'd all do it ourselves. So we went on and invested in recordings, and we went into the studio and recorded our music and whatnot. And we had a good, we was really welcome in terms of airplay, and people would do reviews on us because they knew about us, but we was always side musicians, you know. And for instance, like I would play with Grant Green and a Big Maybell and different Lloyd Price as a side musician, and they would work as national artists. They'll work major concerts about 2 or 3 months out of a year. And the next time I find the rest of the time of the year, I found myself trying to get some gigs for my band,
right,
and trying to get working for other folks and whatnot. So I always was writing music for myself to present my music and whatnot, because I had to work. You know, if I wasn't working with somebody else, I had to have my own library and to hire my own ensemble. And I was always hustling a gig.
Right.
That was we learned how to do that. So with the records, the only thing we didn't have was audio representation, record represent. Because if you put out a record back in those days, if you only needed one record, and that would really put you out all over the world, and immediately with your status of income would go up, because you had some kind of popularity,
right?
You know. So we we created a catalog for ourselves under Tribe, and everybody owned their publishing and they owned their product and whatnot. So the label was like a conduit, because people wouldn't really, the industry wouldn't receive you and your music unless it was on some type of label. Then they would say, well, you got a catalog, and so that would make you a legitimate artist as well as label. If you got a lot of artists on your label, you don't have to have a lot of artists, but if you had a few artists on the label and whatnot, they would treat you like Columbia or Warner Brothers, you know,
right?
At that particular time, you know, because it was unheard of. I mean, the way people are recording and putting their music out now was really unheard of back in the '60s. The way people are promoting themselves now, we started that in the '60s. You know, artists was coming up with their own label, their own publishing, and creating their own distribution. Now, this was without the internet, you know, so it was a challenge. We didn't have no internet. Everything was analog. You know, the internet has introduced another world to us. We're in this is another universe.
Right, right.
You know, so anyway, we put out this catalog of music, and we was very well received. People started playing the music, and the first successful airplay was in Poland and Czech Republic. and people was trying to buy our music. This was like vinyl,
Right.
Back in the day. This is, by the way, we talk about vinyl records. We're not talking about CDs. CDs didn't come. CDs, when did the CDs happen? In 1990, 89, 90. Because I really remember that very well because I produced an album called The Carnivorous Lady. It was vinyl.
Mm-hmm.
And the distributors wouldn't accept it because we didn't have a CD. And it was expecting all the record record consumers to get up and just buy CD players. Well, a lot of young people brought CD players, but the older folks, they don't. They buying houses and stuff and cars. They can do without it. They can do without buying a CD player. That kind of thing.
Right.
So so America lost 50% of his income. I'm talking about the record industry, and ironically, the rest of the world, like England and Japan, they had the CDs, but they kept selling vinyl and kept selling tapes.
Right.
So their income didn't go down. In fact, their income went up. So anyway, getting back to the 70s, we was able to work a lot because we got reviews in major magazines like Downbeat and major newspapers, and we got promoted on playlists and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
We got a rotation and whatnot. And people was playing us. So that did something for our career. Our career went up tenfold. We was getting national money. We was able to garner like national artists income. But by just putting out a record. We the same musicians playing the same thing. But once you have a record out, you're like God, what I mean? Oh, he's got a record out. Oh, whoop-de-doo. Which is good. it's great, but I'm the same guy. I'm the same guy without a record, what I mean?
Right.
So, also, my wife at the time, we was doing concerts and whatnot, and we had a program book of generating a lot of advertising to support the concerts and whatnot, and paying the musicians and paying the expenses, and we had so many ads and support in terms of advertisement. Herb Boyd said, well, why don't you turn that into a magazine?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, that's a good idea, because once we did the concert, the program book wasn't really significant. But when we turned it into a magazine, we was able to sell it on the newsstand.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got the Farmer Jack's supermarket and these Cunningham's. We don't have those retail stores anymore. It's like today it would like be from Cunningham's would be like a CVS today. Farmer Jack's would be like a Kroger's or something like that. They was distributing the magazine,
Right.
which was big time. We big time. Got a magazine out promoting all our activities and whatnot, as well as the social, economic, and politics of the time, because we had writers and graphic artists and photographers, and my wife, she was a graphic artist and photographer. She kind of really supported that effort of the tribe. Marcus Belgrade always wanted a band. So he resurrected. He created and developed a style for ensemble. He called it the tribe. But the main thing was the documentation of our music, the having it archived as a tribe record label, and documented some of the ideas of our lifestyle through the magazine, activities and stuff like that through the magazine. Like that was in the 70s. Nixon magazine was published in the 70s along with a record label, and we had Nixon. He was sending people to Vietnam. He was a hell of a character, and very interesting president.
Very, yeah.
I mean, real clown, And here we are again. History repeats itself. We got the same energy in the White House, but it's on steroids. It's like Nixon's on steroids. Like Nixon on steroids. I've been living a long time.
More hand movements.
Yeah. I think, wow, I'm living. The history always repeats itself. The same thing going on all the time. It dies down, then it comes back up. It breathes in like a monster, a live monster, up and down.
Yeah,
the tension be up and down. So we on the high tension now. We got this virus going on. You got politics is off the hook, and unemployment. That kind of thing. But back in the 60s, it was like same thing, but it was low. It was like we thought we was like in bad shape. But this looking at the 60s, we were blessed.
Yeah.
in compared to what's going on now.
Wow.
But anyway, that's a little sidebar. I don't know if you want to use all that stuff.
You're fine. Yeah. We did want to introduce you to one of MDetroit's staples. Now it's called Hip the Listener.
Who's that?
It's where
Hip the Listener?
It's where we have you, the guest, hip the listeners to anything, whether it be music, art, events, movies, documentaries, or whatever you want. It's just whatever you want to hip the listener with.
Oh, in other words, you communicate and giving out information to it's a way of delivering information and promoting different events, right?
Yeah,
and product and information.
If you want to promote an event, or if you're like, oh man, I've been really liking this movie, or there's this quote that's super interesting to me. Whatever you want.
Yeah, that's cool. And this is online.
This will be online, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. We need that. We need to talk to one another and share. You talk about sharing information. That's what that is, sharing information.
Yeah.
Which is very important. People don't talk enough.
So what would you like to hip the listeners to today?
Well, this whole broadcast is about the release.
Right.
And recording music and presenting music and staying alive in this particular environment with this virus happening, coronavirus going on. Right now, I'm doing a lot of. I was teaching at the School for Performing Arts, doing the jazz studies, produced by the Jazz Foundation, And now I'm doing a lot of teaching at my studio down here. And sometimes I do Zoom teaching, and which is very interesting to me. I don't have to leave the house. I can go down in my studio, which is in the basement,
right,
and teach and communicate and deal with. Now, sometimes they come over, but we don't have a lot of people in the studio like we usually. We're only like 2-3 people down here, and we go over different tunes and ideas and improvisation. Wallows, you should come over too, man. Play that saxophone.
I got you.
You know what I mean? Yeah, come over and play some of this bebop stuff. We working on Scrapple from the Apple and Hot House and Confirmation and Chi Chi and all them Charlie Parker tunes.
Yeah.
We're using that as a foundation. And a lot of people from Wayne State, Michigan State, University of Michigan, they come down every Tuesday, or throughout the week. The schedule's been crazy, but it's been this whole virus has got me pinned down in the studio now. I don't go out like I used to, So every Tuesday, we play all kinds of little, and then we start analyzing solos and whatnot. We analyze solos, going from one change to the next. We talk about what could be played on this particular resolution. We analyze stuff,
right,
like we used to do back in the old days.
Not too old days. Not too old days.
So, Wendell.
Well, it's still valid.
So, we're gonna move on to our final section for time's sake. We don't want to take up any more of your time.
Okay.
So, this is the rapid fire questions, but they don't have to be rapid fire answers. All right. So whatever comes to mind, just
Blue, 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 blue,
Yeah,
blue,
yeah.
blue, blue.
All right. So the first question is, what is your favorite ensemble / project to write for?
To write for? Oh, well, I like to write for 5 horns and more, because of different textures. But like I showed you, I'm experimenting and still using a lot of saxophones and clarinets and stuff. I'm using oboes now, and bassoons. In other words, the oboe is and bassoon would be like alto and tenor. Bassoon is like a tenor instrument, Contrabaritone, a concert bassoon would be like a baritone saxophone or a bass clarinet, and I use alto and bass clarinets as well. Then I like to use tubas, a tuba and harp, this we talk about textures and colors and I mean we hear the saxophone sound all day long, and saxophone and trumpet. That's interesting, but there's other instruments out there too that has that's very interesting to listen to. Up there, I like writing the same ideas but putting different combinations of instruments together. And see what you'll see that this album reflects that. The Get Up Off Your Knees, that reflects that. Cool. That kind of thing.
Awesome.
Every album should be an adventure. Yeah. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. If you had a billboard anywhere in the world, where would it be, and what would it say?
If I had a billboard in? I would like to have a billboard in Senegal, Africa.
Okay.
Or Zimbabwe, or say I'm from Detroit, come and listen to some of this bebop jazz that inspired the world. Hear it from us, from Detroit, from Detroiters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And that's what I'll go to Japan and put up the same billboard.
Yeah.
I'll put the same billboard up in let's say Australia. Put it up in Russia, UK. You know, I'm promoting Detroit and Detroit bebop, but I'm actually promoting Detroit culture.
Right.
You know, I'm promoting the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's an interesting question. I don't know how I said that.
Who are your top 3 favorite arrangers?
Well, of course, Quincy.
Yeah, buddy.
These are icons. I mean, Quincy Jones. He's a trumpet player.
Yeah.
He's a trumpet player. You know, bebop trumpet player. He wrote for big bands back in the 50s, and he reinvented himself several times. He's like a Miles Davis. He reinvented himself several times from doing bebop big band charts to like pop music, you know, all kinds of pop music, and promoting one of the greatest producers in the world, you know, as well as a arranger. See, when you arrange, it's a thin line between arranging and producing. Another icon is Benny Golson from Philadelphia. You know, he's a heck of a writer and arranger. And another one is Slide Hampton. These are all old masters. Slide Hampton from Indianapolis, trombone player, Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. I came up with him. I used to play with him in the Lloyd Price band, and he played with him playing trombone in several bands, you know, in the 60s. And those are 3 arrangements. Those are three icons.
Icons, yeah.
In my mind. You know.
What does your morning routine look like?
Oh, I go to the gym. Yeah. I go to the gym 3 days a week. And I try to go to the soup. I like vegetables and stuff, you know. So I try to go and get some fruit, whatnot, you know, like grapes, whoever's in season, bananas, grapes, and oranges and stuff. I always try to keep some fruit around, keep me alive. And I'm a juicer. I like juice, you know. And I used to be a vegetarian, but I eat a little meat now. I eat a little chicken and a little fish, but a lot of green stuff, a lot of salads, whatnot. And try to talk to people in California, Europe, New York, Africa. You know, we got a blessing of this app called What's Up. I mean, WhatsApp.
Yeah.
That allows you to call all over the world. You know, I'm not as isolated as I think. This technology is something else. I'm sitting here in the studio in the basement, but I'm talking to people all over the world. You know, through technology. Yeah, it's amazing.
Definitely.
You know, so and then I have different combinations of rehearsing and practicing and teaching most days.
Gotcha.
And I go to bed. I go to sleep.
And do it all over.
You got to sleep, man. Yeah, and do it all over. Right. Yeah, right. You know.
All right.
So I'm gonna let you guys go.
We have a few more questions.
It's been a blessing.
Oh,
one more question.
We have like 3 more questions.
Go ahead.
Saxophone or clarinet?
Oh no, I need both. I started, you know, because they two different. It's no, you know, it's 2 different ways of playing. two different sounds, you know, and I really cut down my sound. I was playing sax, alto or tenor, flute, clarinet, and I stopped playing the flute. I recorded a lot of stuff on the flute in the 80s. A lot of fusion stuff, fusion sounding stuff on the flute. And I never could get to sound like Hubert Law, so I gave it up. I couldn't get that classical sound, you know. And I said, let me put more time on the clarinet because there wasn't a lot of people playing clarinet, you know. So I put all my energy into the clarinet and kept that going along with the saxophone. Then I was trying to sing at one time. I said, no, that's no good. I can't sing. You know? I recorded some, you know. I'm an instrumentalist at heart. You know, I don't have the ego. I don't have a singing ego. I can't project myself like I need to vocally. You know, I don't have the voice. First of all, I don't have that singing voice. I can sing. Everybody can sing. Everybody can sing. You're born with that gift to sing. But in terms of singing professionally, you know, that's something else. You know, we're talking about having technique and facilities to articulate and to project your different ideas out vocally. You know, I was singing one time, and I was singing bebop, and I was singing, but sometimes, unlike an instrument, sometimes your voice is not there. I don't know. And then I look. Some days I say, "Damn, is this voice going to be cool today or not?" You know, it became the voice became another person, another individual. I say, "Baby, you gonna work with me today?" It's like I'm talking to another character. I don't know what the voice is gonna do. Sometimes it'd be raspy. Sometimes I couldn't get it in tune like I needed to. I couldn't get the sounds, you know. Actually, I was trying to treat it more like an instrumental, but see, I'm cool. When you give me a reed and a mouthpiece, I'm cool.
All right.
What's
You know,
this last one, but top piece of advice you would give to coming up musicians?
Study your craft. Whatever you're gonna do. If you plan, you talking about a musician. Study your instrument. Make sure that you can read, you play it proficiently. You can got facilities to play anything that you want to do, and make sure that you know how to market yourself. Sell yourself. I wrote a book called "The Fundamentals and Marketing of the 21st Musician." That was my, I have a master's in communication.
Mm-hmm.
I have an undergrad in organization management. I have a bachelor's I have a business degree in organizational management, like a BA. And then I went on and got a master's in communication, which is like documentation, publishing, broadcast, And with that, I produced the Kim Herron Show for about 15 years at WDET.
Hey,
As well as playing music. I'm producing, bringing in a lot of people from New York, and they playing live and telling stories on radio. Anyway, we talking about being able to market yourself some kind of way through strategy. If you want to do something, how you want to go into music, you have to find out how the music is going to take care of you. That's all I have to say. Find out how the music is going to take care of you through recordings, garnering a revenue from recordings, doing film work, doing shows. We in a culture now, we don't know. Everything is uncertainty. Uncertainty is the norm nowadays. You don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next. It seems, with the politics happening, but being able to garner some kind of income from your creation, that's a broad thing, But the main thing, you got to create something to market. Make sure you got something qualified, that's valuable to sell,
right?
To present, or to teach. That's another side of it. To teach. Okay, they say 10-4 over and out.
Wendell, is there anything else you want to leave with the audience?
Tell them I'm still alive.
All right, we definitely tell him yourself.
Yeah, Wendell Harris is still running, and still breathing and still creating music, and I'm looking forward to this next year. And we say peace, love, and happiness to everybody. Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you?
WendellHarrison.com. We're not performing now.
That's all right.
Remember,
you got a record out.
We're not performing now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about live.
Yeah.
We're not performing live. I just did some streaming for the Art Institute and Afro American Museum, and we're gonna do more streaming this year. But you'll see a lot of stuff that's on my website. WendellHarrison.com. I have videos of music and all kinds of stuff. This is on the website. Website is a blessing. WendellHarrison.com.
All right.
Well, Wendell, we thank you for being on the MDetroit podcast, and as always, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and you dripping and pouring information into our minds, into our ears, that just really rings.
Tell your father I love him. Keep on.
I will.
Dr. Waddles.
I will.
All right.
All right.
All right. Take care.
WAWABY.
Wow, that was such a magnificent conversation.
Be sure to like, share, and subscribe on all our social media, and we hope to see you soon.